He's the man.
Once the golden man of social media, Salt Bae has now become the center of ridicule. From the moment he was snubbed by Messi at the World Cup to being stopped by security at the door of a Champions League after-party, the image of a star once celebrated worldwide is now shrouded in criticism. Online, he is seen as a symbol of hollow fame. In real life, his chain of restaurants, once considered the pinnacle of luxury, is gradually shrinking. 5 out of 7 US locations have closed. London has seen profits drop by over 30%, and Beverly Hills, the flagship that was once a point of pride, has officially shut its doors. At the heart of it all are endless controversies. Bills more expensive than a car, accusations of a workplace environment like the Hunger Games, or poorly timed political decisions that have alienated him in some of the most lucrative markets. And the big question remains, what caused a global meme, born from a 36-second salt-sprinkling moment, to fall so far? Why has a luxury icon once sought after by DiCaprio, Beckham, and Bruno Mars become a laughingstock on the very stage he built? And what truths have the public yet to hear? All will be revealed in this video. You won't just see the fragmented pieces reported by the media, but the entire picture where money, fame, and mental well-being are weighed on the scales, and the cost of maintaining a glittering facade that is hollow inside. The reasons, the decisions, and the moments leading to this chain of drama will be fully exposed only here in this video. Looking at the falls and scandals today, it's easy to feel that this was an inevitable ending. But to understand why that golden glow shattered so easily, we must rewind to the beginning. A small kitchen in Istanbul where Nusret Gökçe, a poor butcher, turned his skills into a performance. In 2017, a 36-second salt sprinkle video garnered over 16 million views in just a few days after being posted, transforming him from an unknown into a global meme, skyrocketing his Instagram from 0 to millions of followers overnight. The most powerful stars flocked to Nusret: Beckham, DiCaprio, Bruno Mars, even Cristiano Ronaldo. The man who controls his image like no other, sat at his table, ate gold-plated steak, and smiled for the cameras. Salt Bae wasn't just selling food, he was selling moments. Every meal was a gold-plated performance, with bills that could reach at least $140,000. After years of being celebrated worldwide, the golden glow surrounding Salt Bae began to crack from the very thing that propelled him to the top: an insatiable hunger for the spotlight and a desire to be the center of attention wherever he went. The pinnacle of luxury didn't just nurture a brand, it also planted in him the illusion that fame could open every door. And it was this illusion that led to the fateful moment at the 2022 World Cup. Right after the final match, Salt Bae rushed onto the field like an outsider, attempting to take photos with players and grab the trophy from their hands. This action was immediately captured by countless cameras. Messi, known for his calm demeanor, dodged him with a cold, irritated glance, and his teammates displayed similar attitudes. This moment wasn't just distasteful, it was a clear attempt at clout-chasing, borrowing the tournament's spotlight to go viral. Messi's fans quickly took to social media, reacting with harsh comments and mockery, while Salt Bae's apparent glee only made the situation more ironic. Salt Bae's impulsive action didn't just offend millions of viewers, it sparked an immediate and fierce backlash from fans in the football community. What was once a viral moment for laughs had now become a serious issue involving security and control over the pitch. FIFA swiftly intervened. An internal investigation was launched, with a statement banning Salt Bae from attending official football events, transforming him from a familiar face at top-tier global events into a persona non grata. No more lavish parties, no more cameras and flashing lights welcoming him, just the image of a man standing on the field, forcing a smile while realizing his golden aura was fading. A statement from the governing body read, "Following a review, FIFA has determined how certain individuals improperly accessed the pitch after the closing ceremony at Lusail Stadium on December 18. Appropriate internal action will be taken." This was a turning point. It marked the shift from being a respected and welcomed figure to a global laughingstock. But what's notable isn't just this incident. It was the inevitable consequence of a series of decisions: how he managed his empire, his choices regarding his image, and his relationships with power, money, and fame. After the fall at the 2022 World Cup, do you think Salt Bae's image would remain intact and stop there? No. The looks on the pitch were just the beginning. When the stage lights dimmed, another question arose. Without viral moments, what does he truly have left? And it was at this moment that those who once supported him, from online communities to celebrities, began to speak out.
This is like, on your wedding day, you have some wedding crasher comments like, "I want a picture with you," even though you want to celebrate with your people, right? Look, this is a big moment for the team. And then FIFA's investigating how this happened, what this happened. Well, guys, the calls are coming from inside the house, because apparently this Salt Bae dude is really good friends with FIFA president Gianni Infantino.
The community erupted in outrage, voicing their opinions on various platforms.
He's like a child trying to blow out someone else's birthday candles.
What is he even doing there? He should be cooking in the kitchen.
From news outlets to comments by celebrities, the wave of criticism spread widely. Many famous figures who once happily posed for photos with Salt Bae now publicly distanced themselves, some even mocking how he turned meals into absurd performances. Certain football stars hinted on social media that fame cannot replace respect, as if sending a direct message to the man behind the salt sprinkle. The fame that once elevated him now turned its back on him.
I actually tried that burger, everybody, when I was there. It is ridiculously expensive.
And once doubt took root, the cracks became more apparent. Behind the glittering glass doors of Nusret, once considered a stage of luxury, unexpected stories burst into the open. Bills that made the world raise its eyebrows. A meal with a few pieces of gold-plated steak priced as much as a car. The $140,000 figure was no longer a symbol of prestige but became evidence of hollow extravagance.
Hold up, the Salt Bae guy from the meme has a chain of restaurants and they cost how much?
When you pay $31,000 to see Salt Bae, but don't eat meat.
So that's about $8,500 US. $8,500 to eat at a meme restaurant? What next? Is Disaster Girl gonna open a taco shop? Alien Guy's Barbecue? Kermit's House of Tea? I can't keep doing this. And the funny thing is, that's not even the real Salt Bae. He hires lookalikes to work at different locations. That's not Salt Bae, that's Paprika Bae.
Customers began to speak out. Many felt they had been scammed, as the shiny gold layer on the meat added no culinary value, only serving as an Instagram prop. The money spent no longer bought an experience but merely a fleeting illusion on social media. What was once called luxury was now laid bare, leaving a sense of being exploited and disrespected. Amid this wave, Salt Bae began to respond. Quality is never expensive, but as you might expect, the reactions were quite polarized.
It's shameful to flaunt this when people are starving around the world. What a fool.
While another person sarcastically wrote,
You're right. Quality is never expensive, but this is.
If the exorbitant bills left customers feeling betrayed right at the dining table, the stories from within were even more shocking. Because behind every piece of gold-plated steak was not just a layer of shiny metal, but also sweat, effort, and untold stories from former employees. Those who once stood behind the kitchen flames began sharing their own experiences. They described an environment akin to a real-life Hunger Games, where employees never knew if they'd be fired during a shift. According to some former staff, they described a harsh working environment. Reports included managers withholding tips, shifts stretching late into the night without overtime pay, and even allegations of passports being confiscated. These details have not been independently verified but contribute to the controversial picture surrounding the brand. Meanwhile, some restaurant branches were found to have violated food safety regulations or deliberately cut operating costs to the point that customers had to dine in freezing conditions. These experiences stood in stark contrast to the promise of gold-plated luxury. All of this paints a different picture, an empire dazzling on the outside but hollow within.
Almost every health and nutrition expert agrees that ultra-processed foods are bad for you. But we're noticing this weird anomaly in the carnivore community that I wanted to inform you about. I think you'll be very interested in this. So some researchers got together and they came up with this rating or classification system of ultra-processed foods.
In a statement, a spokesperson from the Ministry of Health wrote, "We will review this matter." Representatives of the restaurant did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The complaints, accusations, and exorbitant bills circulating on social media quickly sparked a domino effect. From being a lavish destination for the elite, Nusret began its decline. By July 2025, reports indicated that 5 out of 7 Nusret locations in the U.S. were forced to close, including the Beverly Hills branch, once considered the flagship store, a symbol of the brand's luxurious status, which officially ceased operations in June 2025. In London, revenue dropped by over 30%, clearly reflecting customers turning away. A report from the industry analysis firm Propel stated that revenue at Nusret and Knightsbridge fell by 31% through the end of last year, down to £180,000 a week in one of London's busiest and wealthiest areas. Thus, the empire once adorned with gold, believed to be unshakable, now revealed its clear cracks. No longer a luxurious check-in spot, no longer a haven for superstars. Instead, there are news reports of declining profits, closure announcements, and the cold emptiness of spaces that once shone brightly with lights. These numbers don't just speak to business, they are evidence of a harsh truth. When trust is lost, money and fame, the weapons once considered Salt Bae's greatest strengths, cannot save a crumbling empire. In reality, the series of closures and the current crisis are not random. They are the result of a crack that existed long before. A crack not stemming from the steak itself, but from the very companions Salt Bae chose to align with. Do you remember the incident in 2018? At that time, Venezuela was engulfed in the worst economic crisis of the decade. The local currency had devalued by over 1,000%. Millions of people had to queue for hours just to buy a few loaves of bread, and many families couldn't afford milk for their children. And right at that moment, Salt Bae appeared in a video serving gold-plated steak to President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. According to numerous international news outlets, this stark contrast sparked outrage in the context of Venezuela's crisis. Because of this, the controversies of 2018 left a wound that was hard to heal. But to be fair, amid the waves of criticism, another truth persists. Salt Bae emerged from a kitchen, not a boardroom. Many who met him behind the counter still describe a familiar rhythm. His knife following the grain, his hand flicking the salt shaker like a professional reflex. His love for the craft was what propelled a butcher to the status of an icon. It didn't vanish just because public backlash erupted. However, when that love became entangled with money and fame for too long, it transformed. The love for the kitchen, which once sustained the brand, gradually became a love for the stage. A larger audience, harsher spotlights, every meal needing to be a performance. Money poured in, fame followed closely, and the life of the brand, sustained by the trust of customers and the resilience of the team, was stretched to its limits. From that point, every choice became performative. A dish didn't just need to be delicious, it had to be camera-worthy. A moment didn't just need to be courteous, it had to be shareable. It was at this turning point that the moves once praised became kindling for later falls. His love for the craft gave him the confidence to appear wherever crowds gathered. But when the line between audience and private space blurred, every step risked overstepping boundaries. And so on those passionate football nights where all eyes were on the trophy and the stars, the appearance of a famous chef, despite his belief that the audience still adored him, was interpreted differently, as an intrusion into a moment that wasn't his. From here, the question arises for the next chapter. If the love for the stage has overtaken the love for the kitchen, what awaits at the gates of the Champions League 2025, where the lights shine brightest but are also the coldest for those not on the guest list? After a series of consecutive controversies, from the moment he intruded on the World Cup 2022 trophy ceremony to the string of restaurant scandals involving shocking bills and accusations from former employees, Salt Bae's image as the golden chef sought after by many has faded. The fame that once placed him alongside heads of state, football superstars, and high society galas is now shrouded in skepticism and public fatigue. The door to his glamorous world is gradually closing, but perhaps Salt Bae himself hasn't realized it. He continued to appear regularly at major events, still gravitating toward the flash of cameras as if his glorious past remained unchanged. And it was precisely this gap between what he thought he still had and how the public actually saw him that led to the next bitter moment.
Nusret! Nusret abi!
In June 2025, during the Champions League after-party, Salt Bae made another appearance. But unlike the days when he was welcomed with red carpets, this time he was not embraced. A video quickly went viral. Salt Bae was stopped by security from entering the VIP area, where players and official guests were gathered. Gone were the moments when cameras followed his every salt sprinkle move. Instead, there was an awkward scene of a man who once commanded the stage being pushed out in front of the crowd. He quickly spoke out in defense, insisting he only wanted to meet fans and had no intention of crossing boundaries. But social media rarely spares time for explanations. The image of the man stopped at the door became a subject of ridicule, with memes spreading from Twitter to TikTok. To the audience, that moment of being blocked wasn't just a routine act by security. It symbolized something else. Fame was no longer enough to open doors. Despite rumors that he was kicked out of the event, he asserted that he was only there to meet fans. He said, "The rumors spreading on social media that Nusret was kicked out are not true. In reality, there was no party happening there. I wasn't even invited to such an event. I was just passing by and saw someone acting inappropriately in the back, which made it seem like something had happened. But the rumor that I was kicked out is completely false. This is an attack on my reputation." International media, from The Sun to Diario AS and news.com.au, unanimously ran headlines like, "The most embarrassing fall." The same outlets that once published photos of him with Beckham, DiCaprio, or Messi now changed their tone, viewing this as clear evidence of his declining influence. If at the 2022 World Cup, Salt Bae could still get close to the golden trophy only to face Messi's cold stare, this time the distance was even harsher. Not only did the players turn their backs, but the VIP door itself slammed shut in his face. That moment was like a bitter metaphor. From being an icon invited to every lavish banquet, Salt Bae now found himself standing outside the frame. And for a brand that thrived on the spotlight's glamour, that was likely more painful than any failed bill. The golden glow of steak was once enough to obscure all flaws, but in the end, it could not hide one truth. That empire was built on a viral hit on social media, not on sustainable quality. Salt Bae, who once turned a sprinkle of salt into a global brand, has now become a typical example of the phenomenon of empty viral. Something that rises like a straw fire, then fades away when the audience turns their gaze elsewhere. But behind the mocking memes and sarcastic headlines, there is still another story. The story of a poor butcher gradually finding his way to the world, then being drowned by the halo he created. Perhaps it is not just a lesson about money, fame, or external glamour. It is also a reminder that behind the flash, there is still only a human being, prone to making mistakes, easily carried away, and sometimes easily lost. The final question remains open. Is Salt Bae the one who seizes the opportunity from the beginning, or was he just a man trapped in a golden light of his own making? The answer perhaps lies in how each of us chooses to look at this story.